Let's have a look at what's new in WordPress 6.3. Hi there, my name is Bud Kraus for InstaWP, and while there are over 1,000 changes with this release, I'm just going to highlight what are the most important changes, the ones that you need to know about. Now, if you are a developer, take note of the following. First, WordPress is dropping support for PHP 5.0, yet the recommended version 7.4 remains as is. There's now a new development mode you can place your site in, whether you're working on core or theme or a plugin, to make it easier to handle the caching of theme.json. Also, the query loop block is now getting the CSS Grid instead of Flexbox model, and you can expect this trend to continue with other blocks, such as the group block. There are more than 170 performance enhancements, and there are 50 accessibility improvements as well, notably some of those being in the list view area. Now, what would a WordPress release be without a few new blocks? And in this case, we've got two new ones. One is the details block, which is like an accordion. You click on a line of text, and additional content is revealed, such as text, an image, or a video. There's also a footnotes block. So if you're creating an academic paper using WordPress, you now have a footnotes block to help you with that task. So just what am I going to be showing you? Well, first thing I want to do is show you the changes made to the site editor. WordPress 6.3 marks the end of Phase 2 of the Gutenberg project. Phase 2 being the use of blocks to create all aspects of your site. It doesn't mean there won't be changes in the future, but this is the formal ending. I'm going to also show you how editing page content is now integrated into the site editor. This is really one of the unique and truly new changes in WordPress 6.3. We'll have a look at the changes made in design, and that means how things are styled, of course, and we'll introduce the command palette. That is something that's brand new, an easier way to access different parts of the site editor. And finally, what would a WordPress release be without the quality of life enhancements? Let's get started. It probably won't come as a surprise to you that WordPress 6.3 features an enhanced and polished up editing experience for block themes. I'm using the 2023 theme here for our demonstration, and if I go right over here to editor, you're going to see something that's a little different. Previously, all you would see are template and template parts, and now they've broken out different areas to work in, and it makes it a lot easier to access things like navigation styles, actual pages, we'll get to that in a while, templates, that's the same, and patterns. Now, patterns are different. Patterns now include the template parts, and it says so right over here. Let's go to the navigation area first. And navigation is just a block, but it's included in the site editor. Here's, of course, the navigation, and you can see that I have the actual links listed over here. Now, if I had more than one navigation menu set up here, you would see the list of the navigation menus right over here. Maybe I have 2 or 3 different menus, and you'd see them listed over here. But I only have one, so that's why you see the links. And here's something that's a little new. You can just drag and drop like this, sort of like the list view. So you can drag right like this, or you can use this to move the link up or down in the menu. And you could also go to the actual page that we're looking at, in this case the home page. I'm not going to do that yet, but we will. Now, I'm going to go out of navigation, and we're going to come back to styles and pages and templates. Let's look at the patterns, because this is really different. Patterns now have 2 different kinds of patterns. One is a synced pattern, which is just like a reusable block. So the term reusable block has been dropped for the term synced patterns. And then there are the standard patterns, which are the non-synced patterns. Now, I'm going to create a synced pattern in a minute. I just want to go by here and show you that this is all the same, essentially, featured and posts. And these are the patterns that come with the 2023 theme. I'm going to bypass that. And here are your template parts. Should look a little familiar. Header, footer, and general. And down here, this is very important, and I really like this, and this is new. You can now manage your patterns, and you can manage your template parts. That's very helpful over here. Let's create a new pattern, and we'll do that by just clicking on this plus sign over here. And I can start a template part or a pattern. And I'm going to set up the pattern. And I'm going to call this CTA, and you'll see why in a little bit. So CTA. And let's toggle this on so that this will be a synced pattern. Remember, synced pattern operates just the way reusable blocks did in prior versions of WordPress. And I'm going to do this. And now I am going to just put this in over here. And we're going to add just a simple button over here. And I'm going to call it call to action. I could have called it anything I wanted, of course. And we're going to make this a link like so. I'm going to make this a link to the About page. And here's the About page over here. And I'm also going to put this right in the center like so. All right, and just save it. All this is the same. Remember, we're really working with just a block. And it's just the, in this case, button block. But I want to show you something. So I saved it. But notice up over here, this is really important when you're working in the site editor. Always keep your eye on over here. This is going to give you the information as to what you're working with. In this case, I have the icon for a synced pattern that I've named it CTA. Now I'm going to create a custom template using my own custom pattern. And 6.3 makes this much easier to do. So let's get out of here. We're going to go into templates. And over here, we can see our normal templates. We've seen that before. And if I click over here, manage the templates, this should look a little familiar. This was in previous versions of WordPress. I'm going to come out of there. And let's just click new right over here. And this is a little different. That is, it's a modal. And you can see the choices I have to start my own template. The one I'm going for is the custom template. So I click on that, and I'm going to call this a landing page template. And I'm going to save that. Now, my theme is suggesting I start with this pattern. I don't want to do that. I'd like to start from scratch. So I'm going to X out. And what I'm going to do right over here is I'm going to start with a group block. And we have a group block, and I'm going to use the single column over here. And inside over here, the first block I'm going to put in is a post content block. Now this is a dynamic block, and this is just a placeholder, as you can see over here. And whatever content I put into here when I'm building a page, when I'm using this template, that's the content that will show up over here. And the other thing I want to do is add this over here. Now, here's something they've changed. It used to say insert before and insert after. It's really small. Now it's add before and add after. And I am going to do an add after. And this time I want to add my CTA button. So let's have a look at that. Now, I'm going to go over here for the inserter. And by virtue of the fact that I've added a synced pattern, you can see the icon for that. I think it's the same icon they used for a reusable block. We click on that, and right over here it says synced patterns, and I'm going to use this one over here. Okay, so I'm in good shape here. Let's save. Notice over here I have a template icon over here, and it's landing page template because I called it that. Now let's use it. So I'll go over here. Let's start with a new page. Let's just call it sales. And we'll put in some content. Now here's something that's really important to do. Switch over to page and look at this template. I don't want the pages template. I want to click on that. I'm going to select over here landing page template. I'm going to publish this, and I'm going to view this page. And this page is using the landing template with the synced pattern. Now, if anywhere I decide I'm going to change what this links to, currently it links to About, then every instance where I use that button, it would also change. That's the purpose of a synced pattern. When you make a change to a synced pattern, every instance where that pattern is used will change. If it's a standard pattern, that will not happen. Only that instance will change. Let's see, how do we go back and delete what we've done? And I'm going to show you real quick. So let's say you wanted to start all over. It's really simple to do. You go over here into template parts, and let's go to right over here, manage templates. And you can see here's my new template over here. And I'm just going to delete this. Yes. Okay, and I'm going to go over here to patterns, and I'm going to delete this pattern. Now, here is the pattern that I created, and of course I could edit it. And again, this icon over here represents to me that this is a synced pattern. But I'm going to delete it, so I delete it just like this. And my choices are to rename, duplicate, or delete this custom pattern. I'm going to delete, and I'm all done. Now, I've alluded to the fact that you can now edit your pages inside of the site editor, and that's what I'm going to show you right now. If there is anything truly unique in WordPress 6.3, it is the unified editing experience. What do I mean by that? You can now edit your pages within the site editor. So let's have a look at that. Right over here we see pages, and if I click on that, I get a list of all the pages on my site. We see the home page, blog page, sales page, about page, contact page. Now I made the sales page earlier, and I'm just going to delete this right now. Now when I click on that, as you can see, you have all these details now that apply to this particular page. And you could actually access the front end of that page right over here by clicking on this link. And one of the details I want to point out is template. Well, it's not the landing page template. Remember, I deleted that previously. So this page has reverted back to the default pages template. Now I did say I want to delete this, so I can just go over here, move this to trash, and I'm done. I'm going to go back over here. Now I can work on, let's say if I wanted to work on the home page, I would just go right into here, and this takes me right into the editor. And I can just make all my changes right over here. This is not the template. You can see right over here, it's a little document icon with home. So this is not the template. Now if I did want to edit the template, I could go into here and edit template. I'm not going to do that. One thing I don't like about this, but I expect this to change over time, is the ability to change the template right from here. But you can't do that yet when you're editing a page in the site editor. And currently, the site editor only lets you edit pages, not posts or custom post types. I also expect that to change in the near future. Now, you can also create a page right over here. I'm going to do that. And let's just call this page Services. And I'm going to click on this. And I could go ahead and start making my changes right over here. Now, by default, it's going to use the Pages template. And you can see that right over here. And there's no way to change this, like I've just mentioned. You can, but you can't do it here in the site editor. So what I'm going to do is save this. Let's just make a change. Okay, and now I can save this. And I want you to take note of something. When you save a page in the site editor, which is where I am now, it only saves it as a draft. In order to publish this, you're going to need to go over here and change this right over here to publish. Okay. And just to make sure we really did add a new services page, we can just go right over here. Let's go to here. And all pages and services is right over here. There's one other way you can access editing a page in the site editor. Let's go back to the site editor. And let's go to navigation. And right over here, let's just pick About. That's fine. If I click on this, look at this. Go to About, and now I can edit this page. I'm still in the site editor. Notice I have the details as I did before. So now you can see the future of the site editor as it merges with the page content editor in 6.3. Now, when I talk about design upgrades in WordPress 6.3, I'm largely talking about the style section in the full site editor. And this section is brand new, but most of the functions, or many of the functions, are still the same. So let's click on styles, and you can see over here, these are the style variations that come with the 2023 theme. If I click onto any one of these, I can easily switch into a whole different variation of style for this theme. Now let's just jump into this over here, and I'm on the default style variation. And right over here on the upper right hand corner, we have three icons of particular interest. And this one right over here is the style book. Now we've had the style book before, but it's a little easier to work with now. And if I scroll down here, you can see for every type of block, for example, if I click into this paragraph block, I can start styling the paragraphs that will apply across the entire site. Same thing over here with lists and so forth. And here's that new block, details. If I click on over here, again, I can start styling it so that every time the details block appears, it will take the styles from over here. Of course, I can change any one of these blocks on a per block basis when I'm working on a given page. That stays the same. And you can see over here we have the media, design, widgets, and theme blocks. And whatever styles you apply here will apply across the entire site. So I'm going to click out of here, and it just takes us back to over here. Let's have a look beyond the style book, which is like a lifestyle guide for your site. Over here is something brand new, and it's revisions. So if I click on revisions over here, I have revision history, and I can see this is a timeline over here of saved styles of the past. So for example, 3 days ago, if I want to take a look at where was I 3 days ago. Now you'll only see entries over here if something has been saved. If you didn't save any changes in your styles, then you won't see this over here in revisions. And this could be really useful if you want to step back in time and see, what did you do a couple of days ago? Finally, you've got this last one over here, which is the three dots. And that's if you want to add additional CSS. So if you're familiar with the customizer and you put CSS into the customizer, here's where you can now do it in the style section of the site editor. One other thing, if I go back here to styles, one of the things that is better in 6.3 is that it's now easy to access directly into the style book like so. Okay. Or if I want to look at history like this, and so I'm into the history panel right over here. So styling your site in 6.3 is a bit easier than it was in 6.2, but let me show you something that is totally new in 6.3. If you have been paying very close attention, you may have noticed this icon right over here that appears throughout the site editor, and it looks like a search tool because essentially that's what it is. It's called the command palette, and it is in its infancy in WordPress. And you can see right over here, I have different open commands that correspond to the different areas of the site editor. The command palette is very contextual. Now, yes, I could type in a command, but I'm going to go right over here to style variations. And I'm going to open up this page for editing. And if I click on home, here's another place that you're going to see the command palette right over here, and this says edit template. Now, I could also just type in a command like open, and you can see all the open commands that are available in this particular case, that is while I'm working on a page in the site editor. And now I'm going to just go over here to open keyboard shortcuts, and you can see all the shortcuts that are available right over here. I'm just going to click out of that. And speaking of keyboard shortcuts, you can access the command palette anywhere within the site editor just by using either Command K if you're on a Mac or Control K if you're on Windows. The command palette shows a lot of promise for the future because it has an API that plugin developers can use to extend their plugins to take advantage of the command palette. Now, with any release, there's always changes that make it easier to work with WordPress. I've already shown you one, that is the ability to edit pages within the site editor. But here's a very new one, that is the ability to edit the template no matter what page or post or any content type you are working with on the front end of your site. So, right over here, I click into Edit Site, and you'll see what comes up is the template that applies for the page. And if I click on this, I have some other improvements up over here, and one of them deals with the top toolbar. I will show you this like so. I click on that, and now the toolbar is over here, and if I click on this over here, I can shorten it. I also have the distraction-free mode over here. Now, distraction-free has been available for the page editor, but it's now also in the site editor as well. I'm going to click out of this right now like so. Let me show you another one. And let's just go over to templates. And I can resize the design canvas like this, which really makes it easy for me to check on how my design will look in different display devices. You will find this resizing feature in the middle of any page in the site editor. And another one that is really nice, if we go over here to Appearance, Themes, you can now review block themes like you would if you were using a classic theme using the customizer. For example, let's just look at this theme down here, a block theme 2022, and it says Live Preview, and it now appears in the site editor, and I could go through all these different sections and seeing how my site would look if I changed themes. That's new in WordPress 6.3. That's very handy. And finally, if you are manually updating a plugin, WordPress now has a fail-safe way of doing it. If the plugin fails, WordPress will automatically revert to the most recent plugin so that your site doesn't go down. That's a feature everybody could use. So what can we say about WordPress 6.3? This marks the official end of Phase 2, that being the work on the site editor. For sure there will be improvements to come, but the bulk of the work has now been done. If there's any breakthrough in this version, it is the merging of the page editor into the site editor. Look for more of that kind of thing in the future. That is, posts and other content types will be editable through the site editor. And what's to come? The beginning of Phase 3 that will feature collaboration workflow tools, a better and easier way to use revisions, and an upgrade to the media library. Stay tuned for WordPress 6.4.